And here's the current state of the AL East right now. The O's sit atop of the standings and lead the Rays by 3 games. The Blue Jays, Red Sox, and Yankees follow in that order. Tonight, the O's head to San Diego for the start of the series against the Padres. And take a look at this. Girls flag football teams in Maryland are getting fresh new uniforms courtesy of the Ravens and Under Armour. The apparel company collaborated with student athletes to bring the designs that they wanted. There will be 10 teams in this year's inaugural season in Frederick County. And for players and coaches, it's all about growing the game.
We're the face of we're the face of a new movement, you know? We're going to be an inspiration for younger girls. We're going to be an inspiration for all these people around us. And it's just so incredible to be a part of this. And we're going to go down in history forever.
I'm really excited to see that it's now taken to the next level. A lot of girls have started in rec like me, and it's just taken to a whole new level.
Seeing the smiles on all the girls coming out here, knowing that they have opportunities for the first time that have never been there is big.
Well, those athletes also got a tour of the Ravens Performance Center and behind-the-scenes look at training camp.
We are currently weather alert as we deal with rain and storms moving across the state. But tomorrow, another round of storms, and then it's back to dry weather. And that continues into the weekend. 88 and sunny on Friday, 87 and sunny on Saturday. Then we're looking at temperatures in the low 90s, heating up for the end of the weekend. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at the timing of the storms tonight and what to expect for the rest of the week in about 20 minutes. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. Coming up on Fox 45 News at 6 o'clock, new information on the Sky Zone trampoline park shooting, what we're learning about the suspect. Also, a man dies trying to help the victim of a car crash. What we're learning tonight about that accident, ending with a Good Samaritan losing his life.
Fox 45 News is on weather alert, tracking these storms. These are live pictures as the rain comes down for the evening commute. We have your hour-by-hour forecast. A deadly shooting inside a Sky Zone in Baltimore County. Fox 45 News obtains charging documents shedding light into what happened.
Everybody's got a different idea as to what they would like to do going forward.
Young people driving up crime. 4 juveniles arrested after a high-speed chase in Baltimore. One of them just 11 years old. Why that child and many young offenders cannot be held accountable.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, This is Fox 45 News at 6.
Fox 45 is on weather alert, and it is because of the storms moving across our region right now. You're looking at some live pictures from Baltimore to Ocean City. As you can see, the rain is coming down. The concern tonight, the potential for damaging wind and some flooding. And already we are seeing some traffic problems. You're looking at live pictures from the Beltway where it appears there has been a crash. You can see it right there on the lower side of your screen on the right-hand side. A smallish car seems to just be stuck in the roadway there with trucks trying to get around it. We'll keep an eye on it for you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Bubala. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax here with the first check of our forecast. We can hear the rain coming down on TV Hill, Jasmine.
Yeah, that's right. And it is loud as we deal with that heavy rain currently moving over the state. Now, this is moving northeastward, but that heavy rain continues toward the eastern shore and in areas south. So over the next few hours, that's what we'll have, some heavy rain and then lingering showers. But this heavy rain could lead to cases of ponding, possibly some flooding in low-lying areas. So make sure that you are driving safely if you have to be out over the next few hours. This is part of a larger system. We've got this warm front that continues to lift north, but behind that, a cold front will follow. That will lead to the chance for showers and storms tomorrow. And you want to make sure, again, that you're staying weather alert as we move forward. Some of those storms could arrive around the rush hour tomorrow evening. Coming up, we'll have a closer look at the timing of tonight's and tomorrow's storms and my full forecast. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. Well, Route 140 in Westminster back open tonight after last week's destructive storm. Last Monday, strong wind, heavy rain knocked down more than 20 utility poles along Route 140 in Carroll County. The storm was so severe, thousands of people across Maryland were without power. Right now, BGE reporting just 39 active outages impacting 280 of its customers. We'll make sure to keep the free WBFF Weather Authority app close by tonight. We will alert you when severe weather is moving into your region and out of your region. Just go to your app store and search WBFF to get started. We are learning new information about the deadly shooting inside the Timonium Sky Zone Saturday night. The suspect accused of fatally shooting another man in front of kids and parents appeared in court this afternoon. Alexa Ashwell was in Towson with the newly obtained court documents and what police say led to the shooting.
The suspect, Quentin Walker, is facing a first-degree murder charge. According to these newly obtained court documents, he admitted to the killing. Today, a judge denying him bond. This is the man, 30-year-old Quentin Walker, who investigators say fatally shot 32-year-old Marcus Whitehead inside the Timonium Sky Zone over the weekend. Newly obtained court documents revealing the victim was dating Walker's ex-wife, and Walker admitted to killing him, here telling police why. According to the court documents, Walker telling investigators he flew to Maryland from Colorado to visit his child, and that he and his ex-wife had agreed to meet at the trampoline park so he could spend time with their daughter. His ex-wife confirming this. But once there, Walker told police Whitehead was staring at him, and when he asked if he wanted to talk outside, responded to not come near him. Walker says Whitehead then threatened to slap him and at one point stood up and started walking towards him. That's when Walker's ex-wife says Walker removed the firearm from his waistband, and Walker admitted he fired all rounds that he had loaded into the gun.
Officers located an adult male suffering from multiple gunshot wounds.
Whitehead was rushed to an area hospital where he was pronounced dead. Walker fled the scene, later calling 911, and according to court documents on the phone, telling dispatch he was driving a U-Haul and wanted to turn himself in, but first returned the rental. Walker was stopped by police in neighboring Anne Arundel County on southbound 97 at Dorsey Road. There, he was taken into custody and transported to Baltimore County Police Headquarters. A Glock handgun, investigators say, found in the vehicle. Walker now being held without bond. I spoke briefly with Walker's attorney. He says this case is in its very early stages and that both he and his client are well aware this case impacts many families. Walker is due back in court September 8th. In Towson, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Taking a look now at the Fox box, a tragic and deadly crash overnight on the I-395 bridge in Baltimore. A man who pulled over to help another driver after a crash was killed after a second crash occurred. He's been identified as 50-year-old Robert Taylor Horn from Smithsburg. A fire Friday in Harford County caused $350,000 in damages. The fire broke out in the two-story home on Paradise Road in Havre de Grace. No injuries have been reported. The cause is under investigation. A 30-year-old man in Anne Arundel County charged with assault following a road rage incident. Police say they tracked Daniel Gerald's home down to a home in Gambrels and seized these guns. Some of them had no serial numbers and had been altered. Deputies will continue to be on the trail in Bel Air, where the body of a mother was found last weekend. This morning, the Harford County Sheriff's Office told Fox 45 News they have received 325 tips so far in the murder investigation of Rachel Morin. So far, no suspects have been identified. The Harford County Sheriff's Office continues to ask for help from anybody who was at or around the trail on the morning Morin's body was found. You can call 1-888-540-8477 or send an email to rmtips at harfordsheriff.org. A high-speed chase in Baltimore over the weekend lands 3 young teens in custody, but the 4th, an 11-year-old boy, is set free. As Mackenzie Frost reports, this is another example of young people getting involved in criminal activity but not getting charged.
On Friday night, Baltimore police say 4 young people took off in a vehicle stolen from Baltimore County and ended up in the city. And we know lawmakers are already taking a look at potential changes to the juvenile justice laws with a hearing scheduled in September. But a political analyst says one hearing is not enough.
Westbound on Jefferson and turning northbound on Curlew.
Friday night in Baltimore City,
Occupied multiple times with juveniles.
After a Hyundai Elantra was reported stolen in Baltimore County.
Driver like it's a male. Everyone's getting out. All the doors are opening. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like he's about 10 years old.
Baltimore police eventually catching up to 2 14-year-olds, a 13-year-old, and an 11-year-old.
He's making that left-hand turn right off the 500 block of Decker. Looks like he just threw the car keys. Decker and Jefferson.
BPD later telling Fox 45 News the 11-year-old boy could not be charged due to the Juvenile Justice Reform Act. This isn't the first time this law has prevented a kid from facing charges.
It's pretty bad out here.
A stolen car in Brooklyn Park earlier this month caught on surveillance video. 5 of the 7 kids involved were old enough to face charges, but 2 others were not.
The 11 and the 12-year-old, had it been a carjacking or an attempted carjacking, that meets the criteria for those offenders to be charged.
This criminal behavior isn't just a problem in the Baltimore region. Down near D.C., leaders facing the same problem. Prince George's County Executive Angela Also Brooks.
We have 15 and 14-year-olds running about our community at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, armed and dangerous, unaccountable, and unafraid.
And the PG County Police squarely putting the blame at the feet of lawmakers.
Under the new laws of the state of Maryland, it has become more difficult for police to question young people about anything.
The Juvenile Justice Reform Act has different pieces. One, kids under 13 cannot be charged with certain crimes. Another prevents police from talking to juveniles without informing their parent and getting an attorney first, even if they're a witness to a crime.
I think it's imperative for the legislature to start planning stuff now.
Political analyst John Deedy says the work in Annapolis often moves slow. That's why it needs to start now, before the first bell of the General Assembly session rings.
So that way, when you come back in January, you've got the bill basically ready, and you can start with the public hearings.
The House and Senate Judicial Committees are planning a hearing in September to start the process.
Everybody's got a different idea as to what they would like to do going forward.
Delegate Luke Clippinger of Baltimore City, chair of the House Committee, says his hearing will focus on the Department of Juvenile Services.
What's becoming clear is that the Department of Juvenile Services doesn't have the services and doesn't have a plan to deal with kids who are in possession of guns.
Whether these hearings will result in changes proposed to current laws remains uncertain, but Deedy says one hearing, one time is not enough, and any legislation crafted should not be introduced like anything else.
Emergency legislation could be a good idea because it would show a sense of urgency.
If passed, emergency legislation could have immediate effect, potentially giving tools to prosecutors and police to start curbing the surge of young people getting involved in crime. Governor Westmore's team tells me that there have been meetings taking place this summer with local leaders, prosecutors, and police, all talking about juvenile justice laws. But it's unclear what, if any, policy proposals could come out of those meetings, potentially turning into legislation in January. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
And that brings us to our question of the day. Are lawmakers reacting quickly enough to the juvenile crime crisis? So far, 95% of voters say no. To make your voice heard, head to foxbaltimore.com.
Every day going back to help clean up and help put spot fires out, or it still seems like a nightmare that we're trying to wake up from.
More victims recovered in Hawaii after the devastating wildfires. The investigation now underway.
1 year since the Inflation Reduction Act was signed into law. I'm Atra Al-Nashar in Washington with whether one of the president's signature accomplishments is living up to its name.
And heavy rain continues to move northeast. I'll let you know when the showers and storms clear and what to expect for the rest of the week in my full forecast.
"96 people are confirmed dead in Hawaii after devastating wildfires. Extra search crews and additional cadaver dogs are now combing through burned areas. As the search continues, there are concerns that the public warning systems weren't enough. In fact, state investigators have confirmed the outdoor warning sirens used for hurricanes and tsunamis were silent, and some survivors were sent texts to phones without service. As of right now, a class action lawsuit has been filed against Hawaiian Electric for failing to cut power. During the storm, apparently, lines that were energized toppled, igniting wildfires.
The Attorney General has launched a review of what happened with those sirens and some of the other actions that were taken.
Well, officials have not yet determined the fire's exact cause, but do say it's the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than 100 years. Fire officials in Maui report wildfires are now about 85% contained, with fire crews still working to extinguish some hot spots. Mary?
I thank you. We are bringing you some live pictures from the White House this week. The Biden administration celebrating the anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act being signed into law. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar joins us live from Capitol Hill with a look at where things stand now that we are 1 year in. Atra, good evening.
Hey, good evening, Mary. This plan came with a pledge to make healthcare more affordable, promote clean energy, and make the tax code fairer. And now, 1 year later, the White House is trying to convince generally pessimistic Americans that their legislation, their accomplishments, are the reason the economy is so resilient. When President Biden signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law, the consumer inflation rate was 8.5%. Now it's 3.2%. But whether this legislation is the reason for that drop is up for debate. The law capped the price of insulin at $35 for Medicare recipients. Eli Lilly followed suit, duplicating that price cap regardless of a patient's insurance.
It's important that we continue to see the price of health care, especially prescription drugs, go down.
When the IRA was signed into law, the average price of a gallon of regular gas was close to $4. After declining over the year, it's back up to $3.85, according to AAA. Despite a lower inflation rate, overall prices are almost 18% higher than they were before the pandemic. Republicans on the campaign trail are making that their focus.
Joe Biden launched a war on energy on day one.
The IRA, though, is banking on clean energy, in part by using tax credit incentives for companies to lower their emissions. Anirudh Sharma, CEO of London-based Carbon Clean, says it's what drove his carbon capture technology company to open a new U.S. headquarters in Houston.
For us, because of IRA, the business inquiries for decarbonization technology has gone up by about 64%. The next step is to actually hire more people and double our existing strength in the U.S.
The White House acknowledging the Inflation Reduction Act is more about long-term investments than immediate relief for high prices. At a campaign event in Salt Lake City last week, President Biden said, quote, "I wish I hadn't called it that because it has less to do with reducing inflation than it does to do with dealing with providing for alternatives that generate economic growth." Now, as for what is reducing inflation, Mary, economists generally point to interest rates from the Federal Reserve, which we talk about all the time, a supply chain bottlenecks being resolved, and global oil prices stabilizing after initial shocks from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Mary?
National correspondent Atra El-Nashar reporting live from D.C. for us tonight. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, right now, acting Baltimore Police Commissioner Richard Worley is kicking off a series of community meetings. He's actually had one before this. This is the first in-person meeting. You're looking live at the meeting happening in Northwest Baltimore. We have seen Mayor Scott also in attendance. Residents will be speaking about public safety. Our Keith Daniels is there right now. He will have the full story on the news at 10.
Right now, you're taking a look at a few of our cameras. We're looking over Towson, over Baltimore. Also, it looks like is that Ocean City there? You can see on the HD radar, we're dealing with some heavy rain across parts of the state, and it's all part of our latest weather maker. Now, a few moments ago, we had heavy rain over Baltimore, and we couldn't see anything over our camera. Now that heavy rain over the Towson area, and it continues along the eastern shore and in the area south. Make sure that you are staying weather alert over the next few hours, because even as these storms continue to push northeast, we could have some ponding on roadways. Make sure that you're driving safely. The flood watch over our state continues through about 2 a.m. So through that time, we've got the chance for some minor flooding and ponding on the roads from these storms. This is all as a warm front continues to lift north. Behind that, you can expect a cold front arriving tomorrow. That will lead to more rain and storms across parts of the state. Now, here is a look over Towson. You can barely see anything in the background because of that heavy rain. Temperature is around 76, a major drop in temperatures as that rain has arrived. Across the state, temperatures mainly in the 70s and in the 80s. And notice, as we continue for the next few hours, the chance for rain and storms closer to about 8, 9 o'clock. we start to see that heavy rain move toward the northeast. Elkton still looking at some heavy rain, but for most of us, we'll stay mostly dry. Overnight, possibly an isolated shower, but we're not looking at a washout, and the coverage won't be as widespread as what we've seen today. As we continue into the day tomorrow, we start off with dry weather. Then for the afternoon, the chance for a few showers and storms. It won't be a washout, but these storms could have an impact on your evening commute, and we could have some instances of heavy rain. Overnight, there's the chance for a few stray showers. Then notice we're back to dry weather for the start of Wednesday. By the afternoon, it looks great. We'll have a little more sunshine and temperatures reaching the upper 80s. Again, we have scattered showers and storms on the way tomorrow, but we stay mostly dry after that, and it's looking very nice as we head into the weekend. 75 for the low temperature with showers and storms. Then that's followed by 90 tomorrow ahead of those storms. It'll be another hot and steamy day, but the cold front will result in less humidity by Wednesday. We're talking 2 weeks away from the start of the school year for Baltimore City and Baltimore County, along with Hartford, Howard, and Anne Arundel counties, and then Carroll, Cecil, and Kent just over 20 days away. So we are counting down to that bus stop forecast. 88 for the high temperature on Wednesday and back to dry weather. Then 89 on Thursday, 88 and sunny on Saturday, 87 and sunny on Saturday. Then as we head into Monday and Tuesday or next week, we are looking at temperatures in the 90s. Back to you.
Jasmine, thank you. A new school year is just around the corner. Next, we look at the increasing use of artificial intelligence in the classroom, what it means for your child. Fox 45 News is your back-to-school headquarters. How will artificial intelligence impact your kids' studies? Kara Duffy with our Sinclair sister station in Florida reports.
If your child is connected to the internet or has a phone, I would say 9 out of 10 chance they likely use AI already. So if you're trying to prevent them from learning about it or prevent them from using it, it's too late. The genie's out of the bottle. We're not able to put it back.
Craig Agranoff is a marketing and technology expert based in Boca Raton. He says, like any new technology, artificial intelligence in the classroom does come with some pros and cons.
But the cons, they can cheat on tests and assignments, and it's a serious concern. It can give students an unfair